If you are procrastinating your writing right now by being here, then I have great news for you. You are in the right place, my friend. Hi, I'm Dr. Stacey Garrepy. I have my PhD in music education. I've taught for over 10 years, been a mom for almost two, and I specialize in helping writers like you who have full plates and even fuller hearts to be efficient in your writing and research, be energized, and enjoy your life. Welcome to Crayons in My Manuscript. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 reasons why we procrastinate our writing, and then we'll discuss 3 ways to deal with it head on. So if we know procrastinating doesn't get us any closer to our goals, why do we even do it? It's not because we're lazy or because there's something wrong with us or we're just not up to the challenge of whatever academic task we're doing. We're academics after all. The truth is, we're getting something out of it. And you might say, Stacey, how could we be getting something out of procrastinating? The only thing I ever get is fed up with myself for doing all of this scrolling. Well, we actually do get something out of it. And here's what it is. We get the feeling first of finishing something, anything. We want that feeling of finishing something, even if it's a finished video or a finished candy bar. And it isn't your fault. This is how we're wired. Our brains want to complete loops. It's why we hate cliffhangers and feel like we have to skip on to the next episode or next chapter in a book. But if I sit down to research and I don't feel like I've completed anything in 30 minutes, well, that spells trouble for my brain. And my brain says, absolutely not. And it's procrastination city. Here I come. So let's talk about the second reason we procrastinate. And the second reason could be compared to a game of whack-a-mole. You know, that old arcade game from the 80s and 90s where you take the big mallet out and hit the electric mole only for them to pop up in another place? Well, that's sometimes what's happening in our brains when we procrastinate our writing. Because along with craving completion, our brains also need rest to process what we've done already. And if we haven't taken the time to actively rest, sometimes our brains will say, you'll do it one way or another, on your terms or on mine. It's the same reason we all get sick when we've been burning the candle at both ends to meet a deadline. Hello, end of semester projects and grading. Our body says, all right, you can either rest in health or you can rest in sickness. Either way, the choice is yours. Our brains need time to let our ideas marinate, to allow the subconscious to work out solutions, while our conscious mind rests. And no, I don't mean scrolling. Rest. Finally, the third reason why we procrastinate writing projects and things that move our careers forward is that writing is vulnerable, y'all. And at the end of the day, we're afraid of putting ourselves out there, being rejected, or discovering that we don't really have what it takes to do the thing we so desperately want to do. So we want the illusion of productivity without any of the risks that accompany it. And the brain craves a predictable solution. Along with unfinished loops, our brains hate not knowing what's next. Ever step into a grocery store you thought you used to know, only for them to have sneakily rearranged nearly everything, leaving you unable to locate your favorite cookies when you need them because you're procrastinating your writing by going to the store? Not that I'm speaking from experience. But seriously, all this to say, writing and research is tough. It's raw, it's vulnerable, it's difficult. The practice of working through our own ideas, carving them out, only to have them pulled apart by another reviewer can be so rough on our sense of confidence. And this is particularly true if you are first generation or working full-time outside of academia and you're not constantly in that realm of critique of ideas. Even the switching of contexts can be enough to make you say, nope, not today, not writing today. Where's the phone? Maybe I can call to schedule that root canal I've been putting off. But in all seriousness, it's a real problem. But what can we do to address it? If our brains are hardwired to resist the uncomfortable things, and we know we can't just write an article in an afternoon, trust me, it can't be done, what can we do? First, we stop fighting. And by that, I don't mean we just say, heck with it to our deadlines. And just right whenever the feels and the inspiration hits us, spoiler alert, they're not going to. No, we first befriend it and we write out our feelings. No, seriously, open a Google Doc or a Word document or even a note on your phone, title it Writing Feels, and write out what you're feeling, what you're afraid of, and why. Befriend those feelings. Don't censor yourself with this exercise. Sit with them. Those feelings of anxiety are telling you something. And no, it's not that you're a bad writer or a bad researcher. Usually it's a fear of things not working out. And sometimes it's even a fear that they actually will work out. We'll have to do a whole podcast on fear of success and self-sabotage later because fear of success is real. If you have an overactive inner critic, try giving her a name like Sheila or Brenda. Doesn't every office have a Brenda? And when you start to hear her say things like, why even start on that literature review? You know you're just going to end up scrolling social media and not finishing it anyway. It's not like you're a good researcher. You can step back and tell her, can it, Brenda? Back to your office because I already have a document I've laid out on your desk about why I'm scared to start this in the first place. You see, your inner critic is trying to protect you, but she needs to get back to her office and do her own work. So send her there. And speaking of imposter syndrome and the inner critic, you can indulge them further by using this second strategy. And this one is adapted from therapists who will suggest that patients who are feeling really, really anxious give themselves a worry hour. And what you do is set a timer and worry about all the things that could possibly go wrong. And then when the timer is up, worry time is over. Similar for you. Give yourself an imposter hour where you embrace the idea that you are an imposter, a total fraudster. Now, this is not a time to dump on yourself. This is a time to use your imagination. You have fooled everyone. You are the master of disguise, cloaked in academic robes. Mwah, ha, 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 ha. Be ridiculous. Make yourself laugh as you embrace your inner and total imposter and glory in how much you have totally pulled your scheme off on absolutely everyone in the ivory tower. The third on our list is much more practical and way less imaginative, but no less effective. Shorten your goal to something imminently accomplishable. And when I say imminent, I mean imminent. We're talking one paragraph of reading. Why? Because of that hatred of unfinished loops. We're hacking your brain, telling it, see, I can close that loop. It doesn't matter that the loop is one paragraph long. In his book, Atomic Habits, author James Clear claims that, quote, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. This is one reason why meaningful change does not require radical change. Small habits can make a meaningful difference by providing evidence of a new identity. And if a change is meaningful, it is actually big. That's the paradox of making small improvements. End quote. And here at Crayons in My Manuscript, we know about small. Small people, small habits, small amounts of time. Now think small tasks and small wins. And the more specific about the task that you can be, the better. For example, if you have half an hour to dedicate to your writing because your little one is napping, don't set yourself up to not close a loop by making your goal to read and notate an entire article. Because the second you do that, your baby monitor is going to go off, or your email is going to ding, or your boss at your other job is going to text you and say they want you to come in because Jeremy has toe fungus and can't cover his shift tonight. I don't know where the idea of Jeremy and his toe fungus came from, but you get the idea. The point is you need a closed loop. You need a win. So start with a goal of reading and notating 3 paragraphs or even 1 paragraph. Either way, when that call does come in, you have a closed loop. And your brain looks at that closed loop and it says, she can close this. This is a safe task for us to do. And success builds on success, builds on success. And I am rooting for you to have success, my friend. Now, here's a bonus strategy that is great for resetting your brain when you cannot seem to get it into any creative space, or it's just spiraling out of control with anxiety and not even talking to your inner critic seems to do any good. And that is change the now. What do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an example from parenting. You see, sometimes my sweet toddler wakes up from her nap and she is hangry. And because she lacks the developed frontal lobe that we adults enjoy, well, most of us that is, she will not only melt down and cry, but lose control of her body to the point where if you even try to shove a piece of food into her face, she pushes it away and thrashes. When that's the case, I know I have to work through her five senses to change what's happening in her now. So we might put her hands under running cold water. We might go outside barefoot and touch the warm grass. We might go to another room and push against a bare wall as hard as we can with our hands. We change the now and we change the input and allow her nervous system to regulate. And the same thing works for us when we're stuck in a procrastination loop. So go for a walk outside if possible and use the 5-4-3-2-1 method of grounding. That's 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. You can also try reaching out to a peer or a mentor for support, which, come to think of it, is likely what landed you here. And I'm glad you found me. The point is to recognize that you're in a loop and you need to break that cycle by changing the sensory input into your brain so that your problem-solving skills can come back online. Here's another story of mine that might help to put some flesh on what I mean by changing the now. When I was in my master's program and I was working on my thesis, I was having the worst time getting started with writing the actual prose. I'd done the research, the analysis, and the annotating, and I could not put the stinking words together. I was stuck in a loop, and I was feeling overwhelmed and hopeless. Thankfully, I worked in a grad assistant's office with a bunch of teachers. Well, I say it's an office, but it was more like a windowless instrument closet that had a dual function as an office. #grad life. And one of my teacher colleagues said to me, Stacey, if an undergrad came to your office and was asking you questions about your thesis topic, do you know what you'd say to them? And I said, of course I do. I just can't write anything down right now. I know how to talk about my topic. And he said, go outside, walk around the building, and when you come back in, I want you to sit behind that computer and write what you would say to that undergrad. And so I did. I walked around the building. And when I got back into the room, my colleague had moved my laptop to a different part of the room, again, changing the now and the physical space. And I sat down and I began to write. Loop broken. I share that story to remind you that you are not alone. And the pressure to put off and procrastinate will always be there. But fortunately, so will the support systems. And you can definitely count me in as one of them. And that's it for today's beautifully messy draft. First one. So now I want you to know that you can do this and that I'm here with you. And I am curious to know, what are the main reasons that you procrastinate your writing? Let me know in the comments below or drop me a quick email at crayonsinmymanuscript@gmail.com. And if you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to support this channel, you can do so by hitting like and subscribing, by writing a quick review on iTunes, or you could also do so by going to buy me a coffee. The link will be in the show notes. I would be so, so grateful for your support. Until next time, trust your words. You're building real scholarship amidst real life. Every little bit counts. And I'm right here with you, cheering you on the whole way. Subscribe and join me next time for Crayons in My Manuscript. Bye-bye.